The law as teacher. We are continuing a study that we started a couple of weeks ago on education. And the author has an interesting perspective and approach for this week's lesson.
The law is not life-giving, said Paul in Galatians 3:21. And righteousness is not by the law either, it's by faith. So where then does the law position itself on our path to salvation? And what does it do for us in particular? There is no better place than here and now to ask those questions when we are talking about education.
At first, I found the subject actually a bit odd, but then it made perfect sense. We're looking at the biggest, more complex and difficult educational project ever. God trying to teach humanity on how we got where we are today. Why do we need Him and how to build a relationship with Him?
God brought His nation out of Egypt into a land of freedom and prosperity. But how do you live in freedom and prosperity when you have been a slave all your life? And how do you also ensure that your children and the children of your children will live in freedom, prosperity in a God-guided society? Answer is only if you teach them and you teach the children of your children, then it's possible. That's why God presented His law. He provided His law for His people and the instructions written by Moses so He can teach them and He can guide them to know how to live what they believe. In other words, if we get rid of God's law, if we get rid of His instructions written by Moses, we would not know how to live under His guidance. It would be only an ignorant illusion.
The law shows what sin is and how sinful we are. The law cannot give life, only God can. But the lesson also argues that the law points to the way of life, which is found in Jesus, which is what true education is about, to point to life of grace, faith, and obedience. These are some of the keywords of the study, and one of the main points is that you can't just acquire such knowledge at once. It's built through experiences. How to build a relationship of love, of fear of the Lord, of respect. What does it mean? How does it work? Some big questions in this lesson. Also because learning is a process, and the process of learning about God spreads actually through many generations, God put in place some reminders and witnesses. He gave them a song. He established some practices of gatherings and readings. And He put the book of the law next to the Ark of the Covenant to be a witness.
God knows that we don't know how to live without a sin. We don't know how to navigate our thoughts or how to make decisions free of the power of sin. And as much as it was needed to be educated of how to in our Christian path, also we need a witness with testimony of power to reprove our hearts. For Israel, throughout the ages, this was this written script or record from Moses that was placed in the most holy place. For us today, in addition to this written record, is also the testimony of Christ, a demonstration of perfect obedience to the Father and perfect obedience to the law.
Education is important because it helps us to reach higher, get more success, build prosperity. The educational experience that God leads us through has similar aims, but some of the terms have different meaning. Prosperity through obedience. This doesn't make much sense because today prosperity is mostly built by breaking the rules, breaking the limits, which may be also positive, appealing to innovation, creativity, etc. But the point is that real education has also a moral aspect. And when your ultimate teacher in life is God, you have to learn to trust and Be faithful to Him even when it doesn't make much sense at the moment. Success and prosperity may also have different meaning. For those who choose the side of God, who choose to be faithful to Him, obedient, and to trust Him, they may also suffer and go through really harsh moments, which is not attractive. But when you let the values of God grow in you, you learn to value clean conscience and clean heart, even with a smaller reward.
In any given life situation, each and every one of us has their own set principles of how to live life. And this is the very important question though. Where those set of principles of life lead us? Where do they lead those who are influenced by us? Do they lead us to pain, suffering, violence, and probably eternal death? Garnished a little bit with some temporary pleasures and fun adventures? Or those set of principles lead us to a free of guilt life, to a meaningful and inspiring life experience? After all, God's law is teaching us how to live, how to experience an out of this world reality. And I just have to taste it and keep on tasting it throughout all my life.
The lesson brought some interesting points about education by looking at how God is doing it with us. And it also encourages us to learn by example. We have an incredible one in the life of Jesus. Join us again next week to continue with the next lesson, which is about the eyes of the Lord, the biblical worldview.